The moment it happened, nobody in the stadium cared about the score anymore. Not the Dodgers fans. Not the Rockies fans. Not the players standing on the field. Not even the broadcasters trying to describe what they were seeing. For a few terrifying seconds, the entire baseball world seemed to stop breathing. Shohei Ohtani was down. The face of the sport, the player who had become the symbol of baseball's future, was lying on the ground after being struck by a pitch that immediately sparked outrage across the stadium. And while fans watched in disbelief, one person in particular looked absolutely furious. Dave Roberts wasn't looking at the scoreboard. He wasn't thinking about the next inning. He was staring at his superstar, and the expression on his face told everyone the same thing. Something had just happened that he believed should never happen in a baseball game. The question that immediately spread through the crowd was simple. Was this an accident, or was it a dirty play that demanded a response from Major League Baseball? The Dodgers entered the night focused on extending their momentum. Every game mattered, every series mattered, and every win pushed them closer toward their ultimate goal. The atmosphere before the first pitch felt electric. Fans filled the stadium expecting another exciting performance from the most talented roster in baseball. As always, much of the attention centered on Shohei Ohtani. Every time he stepped onto the field, cameras followed him. Every move he made generated discussion. Every swing carried the possibility of becoming a highlight seen around the world. That was the reality of being Shohei Ohtani. He wasn't just a player anymore. He was an event. The early innings reflected exactly what everyone expected. The Dodgers were battling. The Rockies were competing hard. Neither side wanted to give an inch. Every pitch felt important. Every at-bat carried tension. But beneath the surface, there was already a growing physical style to the game. Several pitches came inside. Several hitters were forced to move their feet. The kind of moments that often go unnoticed during a long baseball season were beginning to add up. Nobody knew at the time that those moments would soon become the center of a massive controversy. Then came the at-bat that changed everything. Ohtani stepped into the batter's box with the confidence that had made him one of the most feared hitters on the planet. The crowd responded immediately. Thousands of fans rose to their feet. Some pulled out their phones. Others simply watched, waiting for another magical moment. The Rockies pitcher received the sign and began his delivery. Everything looked normal. Nothing appeared unusual. But then the baseball left his hand. The pitch came inside. Far inside. Too far inside. Before anyone could react, the ball crashed into Ohtani. The sound echoed throughout the stadium. Ohtani immediately recoiled in pain. The crowd gasped. And then he fell. For a brief moment, nobody moved. The stadium seemed frozen. The only thing visible was Ohtani on the ground and players from both teams staring in shock. Then the Dodgers dugout erupted. Coaches jumped to their feet. Teammates rushed toward the rail. Medical staff sprinted onto the field. The concern was immediate because everyone understood what was at stake. This wasn't just another player. This was Shohei Ohtani. The replay appeared on the giant screen, and the reaction became even stronger. Fans booed loudly. Social media exploded within seconds. Commentators began analyzing the pitch from every possible angle. Some called it reckless. Others called it dangerous. And many immediately labeled it something far worse. A dirty play. Whether that accusation was fair or not almost didn't matter at the moment because emotions had already taken over. As Ohtani remained on the ground, cameras focused on Dave Roberts. What they captured quickly became one of the most talked about images of the night. Roberts looked furious. Not disappointed. Not frustrated. Furious. His jaw was clenched. His eyes never left the field. He exchanged words with coaches standing nearby. Several times he appeared ready to leave the dugout entirely. It was the reaction of a manager watching one of his most valuable players suffer a potentially serious injury. The silence inside the stadium became almost unbearable. Fans waited for some kind of sign. Trainers surrounded Ohtani. Teammates watched anxiously. Nobody seemed concerned about the game itself anymore. Everything revolved around one question. Was he okay? After what felt like an eternity, Ohtani slowly began to move. The crowd erupted into applause. It wasn't the celebration of a home run. It wasn't the excitement of a victory. It was pure relief. Baseball fans understand competition, but they also understand how quickly everything can change. Seeing Ohtani rise to his feet felt like a collective exhale from everyone watching. But even as he stood up, concern remained. He flexed his arm. He shook out the area where the ball had struck him. His face revealed obvious discomfort. The trainers continued speaking with him. The Dodgers coaching staff watched carefully. Every movement was being analyzed. Every expression mattered. Meanwhile, the Rockies pitcher stood alone near the mound. Some believed he looked concerned. Others thought he appeared defensive. Regardless of what his intentions had been, the reaction from the crowd was immediate and relentless. Every time he touched the baseball after that moment, loud boos echoed throughout the stadium. The fans had already reached their conclusion. The game continued, but it no longer felt like an ordinary baseball game. The emotional temperature had changed completely. Every pitch carried extra meaning. Every play seemed connected to the incident. The Dodgers appeared energized by the situation. Their focus intensified. Their urgency increased. It was as if the entire team had rallied around their injured superstar. Ohtani's decision to remain in the game only added to the drama. Many players would have walked directly to the clubhouse. Many players would have prioritized caution. But Ohtani stayed. That decision instantly became another example of the toughness that teammates and coaches constantly praise. He wasn't interested in creating headlines. He wasn't interested in drawing attention to himself. He wanted to compete. As the innings passed, discussion surrounding the incident only grew louder. Television broadcasts replayed the pitch repeatedly. Former players weighed in. Analysts debated whether the ball had slipped or whether something more intentional had occurred. Fans flooded social media with opinions. The baseball world had become divided. Some argued that baseball is an unpredictable sport and accidents happen. Others pointed to the location of the pitch and insisted that it crossed a line. The debate intensified because there was no simple answer. Yet one fact remained undeniable. Ohtani had been hurt, and the entire sport was paying attention. By the time the game entered its later stages, anticipation had shifted toward the post-game press conferences. Reporters weren't interested in routine baseball questions anymore. They wanted answers. They wanted reactions. Most importantly, they wanted to hear from Dave Roberts. When Roberts finally entered the press conference room, the atmosphere was noticeably different. The room became quiet almost immediately. Reporters sat ready. Cameras focused on the podium. Everyone knew this was the moment they had been waiting for. Roberts took his seat and paused briefly before speaking. His expression said everything. This was not a manager interested in discussing batting averages or defensive alignments. This was a manager protecting his players. The first question came quickly. What did he think about the pitch that struck Ohtani? Roberts didn't answer immediately. He paused. He looked down. Then he looked back at the reporters. The frustration was still visible. When he finally spoke, his words carried weight. He emphasized player safety. He emphasized responsibility. He emphasized the importance of protecting players from dangerous situations. While he carefully avoided making accusations before all the facts were known, nobody listening could mistake his feelings. He was angry. The room remained silent as he continued. Every answer generated more headlines. Every comment fueled additional discussion. Roberts made it clear that situations involving players like Ohtani affect more than one team. They affect the sport itself. When one of baseball's biggest stars gets hurt, the consequences reach far beyond a single game. Reporters continued pressing for details. Did he believe the pitch was intentional? Did he expect MLB to investigate? Should disciplinary action be considered? Roberts remained measured, but his emotions never disappeared. The concern he felt for Ohtani was obvious. The frustration he felt about the incident was equally clear. It was one of the most intense post-game appearances of the season. Meanwhile, updates regarding Ohtani's condition became the biggest story in baseball. Fans searched constantly for information. Every report generated massive attention. Every medical update became breaking news. The level of concern reflected Ohtani's unique place within the sport. There are great players, there are superstars, and then there is Shohei Ohtani. His impact extends far beyond statistics. Former players soon joined the conversation. Some believed Major League Baseball needed to review the incident carefully. Others argued that dangerous pitches have always been part of baseball. Yet even those defending the pitcher acknowledged the seriousness of the situation. Nobody wanted to see a player like Ohtani injured. Inside the Dodgers clubhouse, teammates continued expressing support for their superstar. Many spoke about his toughness. Others spoke about his leadership. Several praised his decision to continue competing despite obvious pain. The respect throughout the organization was impossible to ignore. As the night progressed, the conversation grew even larger. What started as one pitch had become a league-wide debate. Questions emerged about player safety, accountability, and the responsibility pitchers carry whenever they step onto the mound. The incident had evolved into something much bigger than a single game between the Dodgers and Rockies. Yet through all the controversy, one image remained unforgettable. Ohtani getting back to his feet. That moment captured everything. The fear. The uncertainty. Resilience. The determination. It reminded everyone why he has become one of the most admired athletes in the world. Whether Major League Baseball ultimately decides to take action remains a question that only time can answer. Whether the pitch was intentional will continue to be debated by fans and analysts alike. But one thing is certain. The moment Shohei Ohtani hit the ground, baseball stopped. For a few seconds, wins and losses didn't matter. Statistics didn't matter. Rivalries didn't matter. All that mattered was the health of the sport's biggest star. And as Dave Roberts walked away from the stadium that night, still visibly angry, one message seemed clear. In his eyes, this wasn't just another hit-by-pitch. This wasn't just another baseball story. It was a moment that demanded attention, demanded accountability, and perhaps most importantly, demanded a response. Because when a player like Shohei Ohtani ends up on the ground after a pitch that sparks outrage across the baseball world, the questions don't simply disappear. They grow louder. And until those questions are answered, the controversy surrounding that pitch will continue to follow the Rockies, the Dodgers, and Major League Baseball itself.